Cleveland Cavaliers versus New York Knicks, the 2025-26 NBA season tips off with a marquee Eastern Conference clash as the Cleveland Cavaliers visit Madison Square Garden to face the New York Knicks. Both teams enter with playoff aspirations but different motivations. Cleveland looking to build on a solid core that's flirting with contention, and New York aiming to prove that its revamped roster, headlined by Karl-Anthony Towns, can finally elevate the Knicks to elite status. With both squads debuting in the season opener, anticipation runs high, and early momentum in the standings could shape their paths in the competitive East. While neither team has yet registered a win or loss this season, Cleveland holds a slight edge in the analytical matchup predictor, favored at 52.1% to New York's 47.9%. The Cavaliers finished last year hovering near the top of the Central Division, while the Knicks stood strong in the Atlantic, battling perennial contenders like Boston and Philadelphia. This matchup isn't just an opener, it's an early measuring stick for two franchises seeking validation and rhythm in a long campaign. Cleveland comes into the season balancing optimism and concern. DeAndre Hunter is listed as day-to-day, Darius Garland is sidelined until early November, and sharpshooter Max Struss is expected to be out until December. Those absences could test the Cavaliers' depth, especially in perimeter creation and scoring. On the New York side, the Knicks are nursing injuries of their own. Karl-Anthony Towns and OG Anunoby are both game-time decisions, while Mitchell Robinson and Josh Hart are expected to return later in the week. Health management will be crucial, as both squads rely heavily on their top-end talent to set the tone. Statistically, Cleveland's recent preseason stretch showcased offensive capability but defensive inconsistency. The Cavaliers' last 5 tune-ups were a mixed bag, including a convincing 118-100 win over Detroit and narrow losses to Chicago and Indiana. The Knicks, meanwhile, closed preseason play strong with back-to-back wins over Charlotte and Philadelphia, flashing a more balanced attack and improved ball movement. If those trends continue, New York's rhythm-based offense could challenge Cleveland's half-court defense early. For Cleveland, much depends on the leadership of Donovan Mitchell, who remains the engine of their offense. Expect the Cavaliers to run a perimeter-driven attack with Mitchell orchestrating off high screens, exploiting mismatches, and pushing tempo when possible. Without Garland's playmaking, the secondary creation falls to Evan Mobley, whose inside-out game continues to evolve. If Mobley can impose himself against Towns, or whoever fills New York's front-court rotation, Cleveland's balance could tilt in its favor. New York will look to counter through size and spacing. Towns, if active, provides a rare offensive blend of post dominance and perimeter shooting, stretching Cleveland's interior defense thin. Brunson's efficiency at the point and Anunoby's two-way versatility will be key to setting the tone. The Knicks' offense thrives when their floor spacing allows Brunson to penetrate and kick, opening lanes for corner shooters like Dante DiVincenzo and Quentin Grimes. Defensively, the Knicks' length could disrupt Cleveland's rhythm, especially if they deploy switching schemes to trap Mitchell and force turnovers. Injury management looms large here. Cleveland's depth on the wing is strained, and the absence of Struss removes a vital floor spacer. Conversely, New York's front-court injuries could make rebounding a vulnerability. Mobley and Jarrett Allen might dominate the glass if Robinson and Towns are limited. Both teams' benches will play pivotal roles. Cleveland's Isaac Okoro and Karis LeVert could see extended minutes, while New York's Miles McBride and Precious Achiuwa will be tested early. The X factors hinge on rhythm and resilience. For Cleveland, Mitchell's scoring efficiency and Mobley's interior assertiveness could dictate their offensive ceiling. For New York, Brunson's command of tempo and Towns' health are the swing variables. If Brunson's playmaking opens early gaps in Cleveland's coverage, the Garden faithful could witness an electric offensive display. But if Mitchell catches fire and the Cavs control pace and rebounding, the visitors could spoil the home opener. Prediction: Expect a tightly contested, physical game defined by runs. Both sides have stars capable of seizing control, but Cleveland's balanced roster and early defensive edge give them a narrow advantage. Cleveland wins 109-104 behind a vintage Donovan Mitchell showing in key stops from Mobley and Allen. With both teams short-handed, this could spark an intriguing Eastern rivalry. After analyzing both teams, my pick for this match is Cleveland Cavaliers winner. Drop your thoughts and predictions in the comments box. Toronto Raptors versus Atlanta Hawks. The 2025-26 NBA season tips off in Atlanta as the Hawks host the Toronto Raptors in a compelling Eastern Conference matchup at State Farm Arena. Both teams enter opening night with clean slates but contrasting narratives. The Hawks, projected as a rising contender in the Southeast Division, look to build on their dynamic offense and push toward playoff relevance, while the Raptors begin a new era of development, blending youthful promise with a need for consistency. Analytics favor Atlanta heavily, giving them a 70.2% chance to open their campaign with a win. But Toronto's scrappy defensive identity and energetic pace could make this closer than predicted. While the Hawks return a fully healthy roster, Toronto enters short-handed. Rookie guard Jacoby Walter and forward Colin Murray-Boyles are sidelined until later in the week, leaving the Raptors' rotation thinner on both ends. Atlanta's continuity may be their greatest strength early in the season, particularly with their star backcourt expected to lead the offensive charge. The Hawks' pace and space system remains one of the league's most potent, and against a team still finding its footing, that edge could define the contest. The offensive focal point for Atlanta lies in their perimeter attack. The Hawks have consistently ranked among the league's best in three-point attempts, and their preseason finale, a 133-115 win over Houston, showed their shooters in mid-season form. Their ball movement and spacing, paired with an improved bench unit, suggest they'll test Toronto's transition defense early and often. The Raptors, meanwhile, will rely on balanced scoring and disciplined defense. Their recent preseason wins over Brooklyn, Boston, and Sacramento demonstrated their offensive cohesion when their young guards pushed tempo effectively. Toronto averaged over 118 points per game across their final 5 tune-ups, highlighted by a 130-122 victory against Sacramento, showing flashes of the fast-paced drive and kick system that coach Darko Rajakovic has emphasized. Statistically, both teams enter with similar defensive metrics, but Atlanta's offensive ceiling appears higher. Toronto's last 5 preseason games showcased resilience, but also defensive lapses in perimeter coverage. The Hawks, conversely, went 2-3 in their exhibition slate, but lost 2 of those contests by razor-thin margins, including an overtime duel with Miami. With no major injuries on their side, the Hawks' ability to deploy full rotations should prove decisive in maintaining intensity through 4 quarters. Within the broader standings context, both teams begin their journey in divisions packed with contenders. The Raptors sit in the Atlantic alongside Boston, Brooklyn, and Philadelphia, all projected playoff threats, making early wins crucial for momentum. The Hawks, similarly, share the Southeast with Miami and Orlando, where a strong start could separate them from the middle of the pack. For Toronto, this game represents an opportunity to test its depth and discipline against one of the conference's more offensively dynamic teams. For Atlanta, it's a chance to set the tone for a season where playoff aspirations are no longer distant hopes, but expected outcomes. Toronto's injury situation looms large. Without Walter's perimeter shooting and Murray-Boyles' versatility, the Raptors lose valuable spacing and secondary scoring. Expect more ball-handling duties for veterans like Scotty Barnes and R.J. Barrett, while Toronto's front court will need to protect the paint against Atlanta's aggressive drives. The Hawks' depth, particularly their ability to stagger their guards and maintain offensive rhythm even when starters rest, gives them a crucial edge. The X factors in this opener lie in tempo control, rebounding, and execution under pressure. if Toronto can limit turnovers and force Atlanta into half-court sets, they can stay within striking distance. Conversely, if the Hawks dictate pace, dominate the boards, and get early rhythm from their perimeter shooters, the game could tilt quickly in their favor. Both teams' preseason trends suggest Atlanta's superior shot creation and chemistry will likely prevail. Prediction: Atlanta rides its home court advantage and cohesive offense to a season-opening win. Expect a competitive first half before the Hawks' depth stretches the lead in the third quarter. Projected final: Hawks 121, Raptors 110. The Raptors' defensive grit keeps them close early, but Atlanta's offensive firepower, fueled by healthy starters and balanced bench scoring, ultimately secures the victory as the Hawks begin their 2025-26 campaign with confidence and momentum. After analyzing both teams, my pick for this match is Atlanta Hawks winner. Drop your thoughts and predictions in the comments box. New Orleans Pelicans versus Memphis Grizzlies. The Memphis Grizzlies begin their 2025-26 NBA campaign at home against the New Orleans Pelicans in what promises to be an early test of depth, chemistry, and star resilience. Both teams enter with identical 0-0 records, ready to reset after turbulent finishes last season. For Memphis, the opener at FedEx Forum represents both a chance to reassert their dominance in the Southwest Division and a redemption opportunity following an injury-plagued 2024-25 campaign. The Pelicans, meanwhile, arrive with renewed optimism but uncertainty, as injuries to key players may test their cohesion early. Despite being on the road, New Orleans brings enough offensive firepower to challenge Memphis, though analytics slightly favor the Grizzlies with a 63.8% win probability, a nod to their home court strength and returning depth. While this isn't a pitching duel like baseball, the basketball equivalent lies in the battle of floor generals and defensive anchors. Memphis's backcourt will hinge on veteran leadership and young guards stepping up, especially with Ty Jerome and Vince Williams Jr. sidelined until late October. The absence of playmaking depth puts pressure on the starting unit to create consistent offensive rhythm. On the other side, New Orleans is missing DeJounte Murray, arguably their best two-way guard, who remains out until January. Without Murray's perimeter defense and mid-range control, the Pelicans will look to compensate through tempo and spacing. Carlo Matkovic, GTD, could return to bolster the front court, but forward Kevon Looney's absence until early November further strains their rebounding core against Memphis's physically imposing lineup. Offensively, both squads mirror each other in potential, yet contrast in identity. New Orleans thrives on fluid offense and ball movement through its wings and versatile forwards, capable of pushing the pace and finding high-efficiency looks. Their recent preseason finale, a narrow 132-125 loss to Orlando, showed flashes of their offensive cohesion, but also glaring defensive lapses. Memphis, on the other hand, will rely on its interior strength and transition execution. Despite going winless in their last 5 preseason games, including a 141-125 loss to Miami and 128-112 defeat to Detroit, their scoring output suggests that when healthy, they can outgun opponents. The issue has been defense and consistency, especially with Brandon Clark, out until mid-November, and rookie big man Zach Edey, out until early. November missing key rotational minutes. The Pelicans' offensive core will depend on how their perimeter threats balance shot creation and rim pressure. Their recent losses to Houston, 130-128, and Orlando reveal a team that can score in bunches but struggles to close. Memphis's recent results tell a similar story. High-scoring contests that slip away late. That suggests a fast-paced offense-first clash where defensive execution in the final minutes may define the outcome. In the broader divisional picture, both teams start the year tied with Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio at 0-0, but expectations differ. Memphis eyes a return to playoff contention, armed with young stars eager to prove last year's adversity was temporary. New Orleans, while not in a rebuild, faces the uphill task of surviving the early schedule without Murray and Looney. Their challenge is to stay afloat in the standings long enough for reinforcements to return. Injuries remain the central storyline. For New Orleans, losing 2 rotation bigs limits their rim protection and rebounding against Memphis's athletic frontcourt. For the Grizzlies, guard depth is the concern. Missing Jerome and Williams forces more minutes on developing guards like Scottie Pippen Jr., who himself is sidelined until mid-January. Clark's absence also delays the team's defensive identity from stabilizing. As such, rotations will be fluid, and both coaches must rely on bench energy and adaptability. The X factors tilt toward execution under pressure. Memphis must control turnovers and exploit New Orleans' thin interior. Their rebounding advantage could yield crucial second-chance points. The Pelicans, conversely, need sharp perimeter shooting and ball movement to offset size disadvantages. If Matkovic suits up, even limited minutes could help stretch Memphis's defense. The tempo battle, New Orleans' pace versus Memphis's interior grind, will likely determine momentum. In the end, the analytics edge and home environment favor Memphis. Their depth, despite injuries, aligns better with the Pelicans' current limitations. Expect a tightly contested opener with offensive surges from both sides, but Memphis's ability to finish possessions and control pace should prove decisive. Prediction: Memphis Grizzlies 118, New Orleans Pelicans 111. After analyzing both teams, my pick for this match is Memphis Grizzlies winner. Drop your thoughts and predictions in the comments box. San Antonio Spurs versus Dallas Mavericks. The 2025-26 NBA season tips off with a Texas showdown as the San Antonio Spurs visit the Dallas Mavericks at the American Airlines Center. Both squads enter the new campaign at 0-0, looking to set the tone in what's shaping up to be a fiercely competitive Southwest division. The Mavericks, armed with star power and playoff ambitions, are favored slightly at 57.2% to win according to analytics, while the young Spurs, hungry, athletic, and retooled, look to prove they can contend with the conference elite. This early matchup not only pits experience against youthful energy, but could also serve as a preview of 2 teams on divergent paths, one built for now, the other for the near future. Dallas returns home after an encouraging preseason capped by a 121-94 dismantling of the Lakers and a 114-101 win over Utah. Luka Doncic will again be the offensive centerpiece, orchestrating a Mavericks unit designed around pace, spacing, and pick-and-roll dominance. Meanwhile, San Antonio closed its preseason with strong offensive form, winning 4 of its last 5, including a 134-130 shootout over Utah and a statement victory over Miami. Despite injuries to key contributors, the Spurs' ball movement and improved outside shooting hint at a team maturing quickly under Greg Popovich's evolving system. While basketball doesn't feature pitching duels, the strategic matchup here mirrors one. The Mavericks' lead guard tandem, Doncic and Kyrie Irving, though Irving is sidelined until January, is counterbalanced by San Antonio's dynamic new floor general, De'Aaron Fox, who is out until early November. In his absence, the Spurs will lean on Trey Jones to run the offense and keep pace with Dallas's explosive backcourt. Doncic's ability to exploit mismatches and draw fouls will likely define Dallas's rhythm, while San Antonio will try to compensate with balanced scoring from Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, and Victor Wembanyama. The defensive matchup between Wembanyama and Dallas's bigs could swing momentum, especially with Daniel Gafford's game-time decision status looming large for the Mavericks' interior presence. Offensively, Dallas thrives on versatility. Doncic's near triple-double averages last season, 33.1 points, 9.2 assists, 8.7 rebounds, give the Mavericks an elite offensive floor, and emerging wing Josh Green could provide crucial secondary scoring. The Spurs counter with a committee approach, Wembanyama's rim protection and scoring versatility, Vassell's perimeter precision, and Jeremy Sochan's all-around intensity, though he's also out until November 2nd. The absence of Fox and Sochan limits San Antonio's playmaking and defensive flexibility, making bench depth vital. Expect Malachy Branham and Blake Wesley to log significant minutes as Popovich experiments with rotation chemistry. The Mavericks' preseason form suggests a team ready to surge early. Their defense tightened, holding the Lakers under 100 points, and their spacing looked crisp. The Spurs, though younger and less experienced, displayed cohesion and pace, averaging 124 points over their final 3 preseason games. Injuries could dull their edge temporarily, but their recent wins against playoff-level teams signal resilience and upside. In the standings picture, both teams opened tied at 0-0 in a crowded Southwest division that includes New Orleans, Houston, and Memphis. With all 5 teams projected to hover around or above .500, every head-to-head win matters. For Dallas, a strong start is crucial to assert control and build confidence amid high expectations. For San Antonio, early road games will test their adaptability and reveal whether their preseason efficiency translates under pressure. Injury concerns loom heavily. The Spurs' Fox, Sochan, Kelly Olynyk, and Lindy Waters III are all ruled out, removing key depth and leadership. For Dallas, Gafford's uncertain status and Irving's long-term absence could expose defensive gaps and limit late-game shot creation. Depth on the Mavericks bench, particularly from Dante Exum, out until October 24th, will be tested immediately. The X factors come down to tempo, turnovers, and rebounding. If San Antonio can speed the game up and use Wembanyama's length to disrupt Doncic's passing lanes, they can stay competitive deep into the fourth quarter. If Dallas dictates pace and limits second-chance points, its efficiency should win out. Luka's pick-and-roll mastery and Wembanyama's discipline in avoiding fouls will shape the outcome. Prediction: Dallas edges San Antonio in a hard-fought opener. The Mavericks' chemistry and star power outweigh the Spurs' youth, especially with key absences. Final score: Mavericks 118, Spurs 110. Dallas's 57.2% win probability looks fair, though San Antonio's young core could still make it interesting. After analyzing both teams, my pick for this match is Dallas Mavericks winner. Drop your thoughts and predictions in the comments box.